Okay, good morning, everyone. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes po, Doc. Good morning po.
This meeting is being recorded.
RG, nandiyan ka? Miss RG?
Morning po.
Okay, sige. Mag-screenshot ka na lang sa kanila. No?
Okay po.
As I begin my lecture, just open your camera so Miss RG can do a screenshot in between lectures. Okay? Tapos patayin nyo na lang. Okay, so we can begin. All right. So we have two lectures today. The first one would be this one, the diseases of the middle ear, acute and chronic otitis media and their complications. And the second one is hearing loss, diagnosis and management. Okay. For hearing loss. So that's immediately after this lecture. So hopefully we can be done by before 10 o'clock. Okay, so these are the learning outcomes for today's lecture. Okay, you can read it. All right. As a brief review, so you have to review your anatomy and function of the middle ear, okay, of the middle ear. So this is a vertical integration of your anatomy from first year. Now, when I say read it, you just don't read it. No, you have to really study the middle ear, the structures of the middle ear, as well as when you go to physiology of the middle ear, you go back to hearing, okay? Because mainly that's the topic that we I will not discuss later on, no, but I will just hold you responsible to know the physiology of the middle ear structures in relation to hearing. Okay. Okay. So the key points of the middle ear anatomy, you have an air-filled cavity. Okay, so that's the middle ear. So that's the tympanic membrane. That's the tympanic membrane, and that's the circular chain, malleus, incus, and stapes connected to your inner ear. Okay, so it has to be an air-filled cavity. Okay, because the main function of the ear is to hear. Okay, for sound transmission. Okay, now the hearing apparatus or the ability to hear is located in the inner ear. So from here, from outside of the external ear to the inner ear, its main function is to transmit the sound. Okay. Now there's physiology in this simple air-filled cavity from the external ear and the middle ear. Okay, and then here's the eardrum. Now you may say, why did just God create a tube connecting the outside to the inner ear? Okay, that's the simplest way of transmitting sound from the outside to the inner ear. Okay, but there's a big difference because here it is air filled, and inside the inner ear, where the hair cells are located, it is fluid filled. It is fluid filled. So from air to fluid. Okay. So there's a big loss in sound when you move air to fluid. Okay. And you will know this when you go swimming. Okay. When you go swimming and you go underwater, okay, you practically cannot hear anyone that's talking above water, when you're underwater. Okay. Because you are simulating an external environment, which is air-filled, and the inner ear, which is fluid-filled. So the function of the external ear and the middle ear is there's a big loss of the transmission of sound from air to water. Okay, the function of the middle ear is to augment that loss. Okay, so whatever is lost, you will gain, with the function of the external and middle ear. But we'll go to that later when we go to hearing loss. Right now, we're just concerned about the diseases. So it is an air-filled cavity. So it houses the malleus, incus, and stapes. So its main function is to transform. It is not to transform. It is a transformer of sound to the inner ear. So it brings sound into the middle ear, into the inner ear. Now, in order to be an air-filled cavity, air has to go in. Okay, so there's a structure in the middle ear which is known as your auditory tube. It's actually a misnomer. They call it in this picture. It is an auditory tube. Okay, or it's actually the eustachian tube. Okay, some books would say it's a ventilating tube. Actually, that's the more appropriate term, because being a ventilating tube, it ventilates or it brings air into the middle ear. Now, where does the air come from? Where is this tube connected? The nose, at the back of the nose, at the area of your torus tuberous in your nasopharynx. Okay, that's where the nasal end of your eustachian tube is located. And then the middle ear end is located at the anterior inferior wall of your tympanic cavity or your middle ear. Okay, so its main function is to bring in air from the nose into the middle ear. Okay, so optimally, the air outside, okay, the air in the middle ear and the air in the nose have all the same pressure, air pressure. Okay, have all the same air pressure. Okay, in some textbooks you would say it's slightly negative. Okay, but it's practically the same. The air pressure is the same. Okay, so having a normal air pressure here will make the ossicles move it optimally. Are you following, guys? Sagot lang. Are you following? Para alam ko may kausap ako.
Yes po, Doc.
Okay. Sagot ka lang ng sagot, Castillo, ha? Because pag hindi ka sumagot, I will stop. Because hindi ko alam kung may kausap pa ako. Eh, baka mamaya, wala na ako sa internet. Okay, salita pa ako ng salita. Offline na pala ako. Okay. So here's the clinical correlation. The eustachian tube function. The problem is, okay, so there's air, and the nose contains air. Now, if you have, let's say, nasal congestion, okay, nasal congestion. What happens in nasal congestion? The nasal passages or the mucosa of the nose congests or gets inflamed. Okay? Kaya what do you feel? Baradong ilong or your nose gets obstructed. Okay? Because of the congestion. Now, since the lining of the eustachian tube is the same as that of the nose, okay, you can say that if the nose is congested, the eustachian tube will also be congested or inflamed. So if it is inflamed, it cannot open. Okay, it is not patent. So what happens to the air? It cannot go into your middle ear. Okay, it cannot go into the middle ear. The air cannot go into the middle ear because the eustachian tube is obstructed. So once the air cannot, if the air cannot go into the middle ear, the remaining air gets absorbed by the blood vessels. So what happens? There's no more air. What do you call a structure with no air? Castillo. Bilis. Sabihin mo lang if you don't know.
I'm not sure po with the name po,
Hindi
Doc.
you're not sure. It's either you know or you do not know. If you're not sure, you will answer.
I don't know po, Doc. Sorry.
Okay. Anong tawag mo sa space? May air o wala?
Wala po. Vacuum po.
Wala. So anong tawag mo sa kanya?
Vacuum po.
Vacuum. Anong ginagawa ng vacuum? Vacuum cleaner. Anong ginagawa ng vacuum cleaner?
It sucks air po.
It sucks. It sucks, di ba? It sucks structures. So in this case, what will happen if there is no air inside the middle ear? A vacuum is created. So it sucks in. What structure will it suck in? What's the movable structure that it can suck in?
The tympanic membrane po.
Very good. The tympanic membrane. So the tympanic membrane will get sucked in. Magkakaroon ka ngayon. The tympanic membrane, once it gets sucked, it cannot move freely. Diba? It ceases to function as something that is tympanic when yung gumagalaw, like a drum. no? Yung drum, yung tambol. Okay? Okay? So once that eardrum is sucked in, it will not function optimally. So the result would be hearing loss initially. Okay? Now, that is only if it is congested. Ano ba ang congested? Allergies. Nagko-congest ng ilong. It congests with allergies. Okay? Now, what happens if the nose gets infected? Acute rhinitis, viral or bacterial, more so if it's bacterial rhinitis. What happens? The same thing. Okay? The nose congests, vacuum is created. However, this time, aside from sucking in the eardrum, it will suck in fluid from the nose. Okay? Which is infected. Okay? So you get an infection within your middle ear. Okay? And that's when the steps or the stages of middle ear function come in. So do you understand? Do you get the function of the very important function of the eustachian tube in the physiology of disease? Castillo.
Yes po, understood po, Doc.
Okay, very good. So I will continue. Okay, the definition of acute otitis media. It is an acute bacterial or viral infection of the middle ear with rapid onset of symptoms. Okay. Lahat yan ha, iisa-isa nyo. Sa haba ng description yan, I just chose the correct words to place. Okay? So it is an acute, okay? Mabilis, it's fast, bacterial or viral infection. Okay? With rapid onset of symptoms. Mabilis ang symptoms. Okay? In contrast to the chronic type. Okay? So this one is fast. Okay, the etiologic agents. Oops, bilis naman ito gumalaw. The etiologic agents, since if it is bacterial, then these are the the etiologic agents. Strep, Haemophilus, influenzae, and Moraxella cataralis. Okay? The majority of bacteria would be Streptococcus pneumoniae. Okay? In both children and in adults. Okay, pathophysiology. Okay, that's the pathophysiology. You have upper respiratory tract infection, eustachian tube congestion or edema, middle ear effusion, as I've explained a while ago, and then bacterial overgrowth. Okay, very simple ang pathophysiology. Okay, so what happens in the stages? This is where it gets more interesting. In acute otitis media, these are the 4 stages of acute otitis media. The first stage is a stage of hyperemia. Okay, so this on this picture here, if you do you see my pointer, Castillo?
Yes po, Doc. Kita po yung
Okay,
pointer.
so this is your tympanic membrane, the normal tympanic membrane. You will see the malleus here, the handle of the malleus, the umbo or the head of the malleus. Okay, you see a very transparent tympanic membrane. Sometimes you will see this cone of light. You can see your incus here, the stapes here. So basically, ang ganda niyan tingnan, no? There's no congestion. Now, on the right side, what do you notice? The tympanic membrane here is a little dull. Okay? You don't see the ossicles anymore. Well, you see mainly the handle of the malleus, the incus, but you don't see the whole handle no clearly as you see in a normal eardrum. Okay? Can you compare the two pictures, Castillo?
Yes po, Doc. May,
Okay. Ano?
parang inflamed po yun sa upper right po.
Ano?
Parang inflamed, may inflammation.
Kailangan mag-English ka for our foreign-speaking students.
I think there's a presence of erythema po in some of the structures that
Okay, good.
surrounds the tympanic membrane.
All right, very good. So you see here, and you look at compare the handle, right? So this one is clearly seen. The incus is clearly seen. Okay, the tympanic membrane is clearly transparent. Here it's a little dull. Okay, it's a little dull, but there's no air fluid. There's no air fluid level. No, it's a little dull. Okay, but you will see here that you're correct. There's hyperemia, no, in some areas of your tympanic membrane. These are vessels, namamaga yung vessels mo. Okay, this points to the first stage of otitis media, which is the stage of hyperemia. You call it hyperemia because the vessels get hyperemic. So, since this is the initial stage, okay, what do you see? What will the patient experience, no? Symptomatology wise? Basically nothing. No, if there's a little pain, maybe it's a little earache or a little discomfort, but not nearly the earache that will make you seek consultation, no, or really make you take meds. The pain is a little. It's not actually pain. It's discomfort. Okay, there's there's a problem in the ear, but probably most patients will just try to neglect this. It's a little discomfort. The patient can still hear properly because there's no air fluid levels. That means the tympanic membrane is not retracted. Okay, so that means the middle ear cavity is still air filled. Okay, but there would be some bacterial infection already in the mucosa of your middle ear. All right. So this is probably when you do your otoscopy. Now, do all of you have otoscopes? Ikaw, Castillo, do you have an otoscope?
Yung yung attachment lang po sa pen light, Doc, yung basic ano po.
Alin, yung tigwa 120 pesos.
Yes po, yun from Shopee po,
Okay,
Doc.
that's good enough, no? As long as you have an otoscope or something that is similar to that, no? Because you cannot diagnose the stage of hyperemia or any stage of the acute otitis media for that matter if you don't have an otoscope. Because you have to visually, no? Visually see. Visual na, see pa. No? Redundant na ako. You have to visually see. Okay, that I'm being emphatic, ha? uh, not being redundant. I'm being emphatic. You have to visually see the middle ear structures in order to diagnose acute otitis media and chronic otitis media. That's why it is important to have an otoscope. Okay, if you don't have an otoscope, voila, you will not diagnose this. You will just guess. You will give your management. Some most of the time it is the wrong kind of management. So you have to have an otoscope. Now, I told this to my mentoring group, no, sila Yel, no, they're my mentoring group in second year. No, you're president of the MSc, no? Yel, nandiyan ka ba? Yel? Absent yata to si Yel, ah. Mr. President, are you here? Is he muted, Castillo? Narito ba siya, Castillo?
Anong surname po, Doc?
Ha?
Anong surname po?
Si, ano ba surname ng president yun ng Medical Student Council?
Si Mr. Reyes po, Doc.
O yun, si
As of this moment, Doc, wala po ata sa list.
wala siya. Naku, imamark kong absent yan, ha? Anyway, he was in my mentoring group in my second year, no? And I literally forced them to buy an otoscope. Okay? And they have been using the otoscope that I asked them to buy. Okay? There are a lot of otoscopes now in the market, no? You don't have to buy the Welch Allen, which is about 25,000 to 35,000. You can buy that otoscope is good enough as long as you can see the middle ear, as long as the light is bright, no, and you can see the middle ear structures. Okay, going back. So in the stage of hyperemia, you barely have any symptoms. There's no hearing loss. There's no pain. But you have to diagnose this because there's a certain discomfort that the patient will complain of. That's the first stage. The second stage is, okay, there's still a vacuum inside your middle ear. There's already infection of the mucosa of the middle ear. So what happens now? Because of that infection, there is an exudation of fluid. Okay, when there is infection, may exudation. Okay, so where does the exudation? The exudation comes from the mucosa, the vessels. So it goes into the middle ear, so it accumulates into the middle ear. Okay? So initially there would be an air fluid level like the picture here, lower left. Okay? And then eventually as the exudation gets more exudates come into the middle ear, nakakaroon ka ngayon ng ganito. Picture on the right. So it's a bulging tympanic membrane. Now you compare these pictures, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You will see the differences. That's the normal, hyperemic. Now on this stage, it becomes more uh, dull-looking tympanic membrane, more hyperemia, but there's air fluid level at this side. Okay? Now, as the air fluid level accumulates, dumadami ng dumadami yung fluid, where does the eardrum now go? It comes out. It pops out. Because may fluid ka sa loob. And we are now in the second stage. The stage of exudation. Okay? Now, in the stage of exudation, okay, this is where because there's fluid coming into the middle ear, there's pressure inside your middle ear, then the patient develops ear pain, gradually increasing ear pain. So from a dull earache, which is more or less about 0 to 0.5 to 1, it then becomes to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, hanggang umabot ng 9 or 10 in some patients. Okay? Masakit na masakit yan. Very extreme pain. Okay? And that's the time that patients will consult you immediately. Again, to diagnose this, no, because there are a lot of differentials for ear pain. You can have otitis externa, you can have otomycosis, you can have foreign bodies, you can have EPs, okay, and you can have acute otitis media. And the only way to diagnose this is through otoscopy. Again, okay? So symptomatology-wise, the pain is increasing and then the patient also develops fever because it's in an infection. So nagkakaroon ng fever, which is increasing. Okay? So from, let's say, 37.4, magiging 38, 38.5. Okay, it is increasing fever. And then, from normal, which is no hearing loss for hyperemia, slight hearing loss for a little exudates or producing air fluid levels because the tympanic membrane cannot move properly, then in these cases where you have really a stage of exudation, you have hearing loss together with it. So these three symptoms, ear pain, fever, hearing loss, that's the triad for acute otitis media. Okay? But only if it's actually a quadrant. No? Tama ba yung quadrant? Okay. If you include an otoscopic finding of a bulging tympanic membrane. Because ear pain, fever, and hearing loss can also be seen in acute otitis externa. Okay? When the ear canal is so edematous, hindi ka rin makakarinig. Okay? So the symptoms of externa and otitis media are the same. So you have to add the fourth finding of an eardrum that looks like this on the picture on the right lower quadrant. Okay. In children, you have irritability. Okay. Now, so that's the second stage. Okay. Stage of exudation. One, hyperemia, exudation. So what happens? In most cases, especially in children, because children will not complain. They titiisin nila yun, aray, something, let's just keep quiet. Unlike in adults, maybe dull earache lang yan, like stage of hyperemia, nakakonsult na yan sa inyo. Okay? But if they do not consult, what happens next? This one will rupture kasi it's a tympanic membrane that's just thinning out, bulging, thinning out until it ruptures. So when it ruptures like this, a picture on the right, okay, you will see this is a new rupture, ganyan ang itsura ng edges niya, serrated, unlike an old rupture when you have clean edges. Okay, so a new rupture like this This is what it will look like in acute otitis media. Okay? So what will happen now? Fluid will come out. The exudates will come out because there's a hole, a butas. No? There's a hole. There's a perforation in the tympanic membrane. So fluid will come out. So when the fluid comes out, what happens? There would be a beginning relief of the symptoms because the pressure in the middle ear is released through the perforation. So there would be a decrease in your ear pain. There'd be a decrease in your fever. However, an additional hearing loss would be felt by the patient because the eardrum is perforated. Okay? The eardrum is perforated. So that's the three stages: hyperemia, exudation, suppuration. Suppuration, labas na yung fluid. The fluid comes out of the middle ear. And if you handle it very well, most of the time it will go into a stage of resolution. But managed poorly, it will proceed to a stage of complication. Okay? We rarely see this now, the stage of complication, because the patients are aware now, no, to consult physicians. And right now we have so many specialists, well, at least in Metro Manila, that they can see most of the patients, especially in government hospitals. They can see this already and they can detect it. So most of the cases that we see are in the stage of exudation. Rarely do we see a stage of suppuration, suppurative stage. Now, management is different. Okay? Management is different. Management depends on the stage. Okay? It's not a one kind of management. It depends on the stage. If it is on the stage one, stage of hyperemia, okay, this is purely observing. If this is associated with an acute otitis, acute rhinitis, bacterial type, then you can begin your antibiotics. But if it's just a viral type, then you can just observe the patient. You can ask the patient to come back after 2 days and take a look into the tympanic membrane. So all you have to do is just give analgesia. Dito. Same thing with this, with just exudates, air fluid levels. No? You can ask them to chew gum, okay, because the chewing gum opens the eustachian tube. When they swallow, it opens the eustachian tube. So any fluid in your middle ear will be brought out back into the nose. Okay? But basically, you don't give antibiotics unless, as I said, as I repeat, it is associated, if the acute otitis media is associated with a bacterial kind of infection. Okay, so you have to learn to distinguish between acute rhinitis, bacterial, and acute rhinitis, viral. Still, the most common is viral. Okay, 60% of cases of acute rhinitis, 70%, 60 to 70% of acute rhinitis, viral is viral, sorry, is viral. Okay? Now, the management is different when it reaches stage 2, which is the stage of exudation. You know that this is now infected. Okay? So you have to give your antibiotics. Your antibiotics should be against the bacteria that grows, which is Streptococcus. Okay? Which is strep. That's where your antibiotics are that's the kind of antibiotics that you give. Okay? So in most cases, we just give amoxicillin, that would be fine, or amoxicillin with clavulanic acid, that would be fine. Okay, observation in selected cases, as I mentioned. Do you give antibiotic ear drops? In this stage of hyperemia, exudation or hyperemia, you don't give antibiotic ear drops because it will not do anything. It will just be a waste of the patient's money because the eardrum is intact. However, when it reaches the stage of suppuration, the management becomes different. So when the stage of suppuration, there are exudates coming into the external ear. So you have to clean. You have to do oral toilet. Okay, clean the middle ear, suction all the secretions. That's why in your third year, you have to learn how to suction the middle ear or suction the external ear. Okay? Because when there are exudates there, you have to clean it. Okay? That will be taught to you in your fourth year. So you clean it either with the suction. If you don't have a suction in your community, then you can just use cotton. We will teach you how to make a cotton pledget. Hindi gumagamit ng cotton buds. You have to make your cotton in a cotton stick, creating a cotton pledget to clean this. Okay? You have to clean all this discharge, the debris. Tanggalin mo lahat yun. And you will see just the tympanic membrane with the perforation. And when you see the perforation, that's when you give your antibiotic drops. Now, what kind of antibiotic drops? You give the plain antibiotic drops. Okay? What antibiotic drops should you avoid? Those that contains gentamicin. Okay? Because gentamicin is toxic to your inner ear. And if you put the drops in directly into the middle ear, then going back to your anatomy, okay, if the perforation is here, the drops goes inside. And what structure is this? The inner ear already. Okay? And that can damage your inner ear hair cells, eventually causing permanent hearing loss. So be careful when you give your eardrops. Okay? There are many kinds, no, but just don't give the ones that are toxic to your inner ear. Gentamicin is one, tobramycin is another. Yung mga aminoglycosides, aminoglycoside eardrops. You can give ciprofloxacin or ofloxacin eardrops. That would be fine. Okay, so if it resolves, then you go to a stage of resolution. If it does not, then you go to a stage of complication. Okay. Now, initially, the stage of complication doesn't happen right away. Okay? Doesn't happen right away. In most cases, it doesn't. Now, only in children does it happen that it may happen because the structure of the middle ear in children is so compact and small. Okay? The mastoid air cells are not fully developed. Okay? So, an infection in the middle ear can go into your mastoid, causing mastoiditis in children and causes complications related to mastoiditis. Okay? But in adults, hindi naman. No, it goes first from an acute infection, continuous infection, and if it's more than 6 weeks, then it becomes a chronic type of otitis media. Okay? So, what is a chronic type of otitis media? It is a long-standing infection or inflammation of the middle ear. How long? More than 6 weeks. Okay? Usually with the tympanic membrane perforation. Now, this is a classic look of a chronic otitis media. So compare this to your acute, the edges of your perforation are smooth. Ibig sabihin yan, long-standing. Okay? If the edges are serrated, ganyan. No? As in this picture. Yan. Serrated, ganyan. Then, it is acute. So by the look of the perforation, you will see if it's already acute and chronic. And it's not anymore hyperemic. In an acute otitis media, the tympanic membrane is very hyperemic. This one is not. Okay, but you will see here ear discharge coming from your middle ear. Okay, it's still a little exudative. Okay, it's chronicity. Okay, what else do you see? This white things here, white looking things in the tympanic membrane, is significant for chronic infections. Kumakapal ang tympanic membrane, becomes thickened because of the infection within the middle ear cavity. Okay, so the COM, chronic suppurative type, if it continues to suppurate. Okay, discharge. Okay, persistent ear discharge for more than 6 weeks. And what kind of hearing loss? You have a conductive hearing loss because you have a perforation in the middle ear. Now, uncorrected, no, not corrected. okay, or left alone, this may proceed to another type of problem. Okay? They develop what we call cholesteatoma. Okay? Cholesteatoma is just skin debris, squamous debris that goes into the middle ear. Now, the middle ear, the mucosa is not squamous. No? The only squamous lining is in the external ear and the outer part of the tympanic membrane. All right. Are you following, Castillo? Are you following?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay. So it's only on the outer part. So what happens? Squamous or the skin, that's skin, yan skin debris yan. Skin debris, which happens, no, we desquamate, no, continuously, and the dead skin just comes out of your ear. But in this case, since there is a perforation, skin gets inside or goes inside your middle ear. Okay, and what happens? It accumulates in the middle ear, and that's what we call a cholesteatoma. Ito yan, yung cholesteatoma. Ang cholesteatoma is actually debris, skin debris, and you know what skin debris is, no? Foul smelling. It's later on it becomes infected. Now the problem with with skin is it has an enzyme that eats up bone. Okay? Yung mga pumapasok dyan. So, the problem with cholesteatoma is it eats up bone. Yan, long-standing cholesteatoma. That's why it has to be removed. It cannot come out anymore because there's no way it can come out unlike in the external ear. So it just stays inside and gets accumulates. So nagkakaroon yan dyan. So when it eats a bone, then it causes complications. So pag ganito, you call it cholesteatomatous otitis media. Or there are abnormal keratinizing squamous epithelium found within the middle ear. It is locally destructive, and there is a high risk of complications. Okay. So the COM initially would be painless. Initially, when you see something like this, it's painless. Walang hyperemia. No? There's no edema. It's just thickening of the tympanic membrane, a perforation, and discharge. So it's painless with foul-smelling otorrhea. Okay? And there is a history of recurrent infections. Now, why a history of recurrent infections? Because there is a perforation. Every time they take a bath, water goes in, it irritates the middle ear, it causes an infection. Air, mainly air, irritates the middle ear structures, causes an infection. So you have a chronic infection, with the perforated TM. And you have a progressive hearing loss. As the perforation gets bigger, the hearing loss gets progressive. So why COM is dangerous? As I said, when cholesteatoma or when skin debris enter that's one, no? When it enters your middle ear, that's one. This cholesteatoma causes bone erosion, and there is a spread of infection beyond the confines of the middle ear. Now, look at this picture. Now, what do you see here are the possible areas where because that's bone, no? Purely bone. Zygoma, tegmen, no? That's bone. Okay. So where can it go? It can go up to the brain, okay, through the tegmen, causes an epidural abscess initially. So that's the dura, epi is outside, no? Epidural abscess. Okay? Now, uncorrected, it can go and proceed into a temporal bone abscess. Pwede siya dito. Or through venous channels, it can cause a temporal lobe abscess. Okay? It can go beyond this bone and go here. That's the mastoid bone. Okay? If it goes to the tip of the mastoid bone, then you call it a Bezold's abscess. Okay? Bezold's abscess. If it goes posterior to the mastoid bone, here in this case, sa likod lang dito, then you call it a posterior auricular abscess. Post-auricular abscess. Okay? This is the lateral sinus. Okay? It's a big vessel located outside of the brain within your cranial cavity. Okay? So lateral sinus. Now, if it goes beyond this bone, it goes into the sinus, it can cause a thrombosis, an infection of the sinus or magkaroon ka ng thrombosis. So you call it a lateral sinus thrombosis. Okay? It can go into the zygomatic bone causing a zygomatic abscess. Okay? And that's the facial nerve. It can eat up the canal of the facial nerve, causes facial paralysis. Or it can, that's your balance, no? Your labyrinth, okay? Your vestibule, superior, middle, inferior, posterior. It can eat up the bone where this is found and causes a suppurative labyrinthitis. Okay, just, you try to picture, memorize this photo, and you already have all the complications of COM. Okay? But the spread can either be by bone erosion, in this case, bone erosion. Okay, may subdural abscess ka pa. Okay? It can be through venous channels. Okay? Punta siya sa temporal lobe. It can be by direct extension into your labyrinth or your facial canal. Okay? But more common in chronic otitis media, especially with cholesteatoma. Okay. So these are the manifestations of your extracranial complications. So you can either classify complications into external and internal. So external is mastoiditis. Okay. External. So nasa likod, the mastoid. The mastoid is found at the back. So if it, as I said, if it spreads just on the posterior side, then you will have, this is your post-auricular abscess. This is very common in children. No? Early onset ito in children. Okay? So it causes a posterior auricular swelling and abscess. So what happens to the ear? This is what the child would look like. The ear will be pointed downward and outward. Okay? Pushed forward, or forward pala, and downward. Next is facial nerve paralysis or palsy. No? When it eats up the facial canal, direct, no? Inflammation or erosion of the facial nerve canal. So there would be a sudden facial paralysis or sudden facial asymmetry. In this case, you have to understand the anatomy of the face, the muscles of the face. Di ba? So, ito yung inyong mga quadratus, etc., superioris, alanase, etc. No? You try to understand what the muscles are. We won't have time to discuss that. But in this case, if you notice here, the facial nerve paralysis is on the left side. Left side. When she tries to smile, she cannot lift up the face. So may paralysis ka. Nawawala yung inyong nasolabial fold. So the nasolabial fold disappears, or not disappears, but it's not obvious. And there is a drooping of your lower lip where the paralysis is. So saliva will begin to come out of that. Okay? Nawawala yung nasolabial fold. There would be, in this picture here, they asked them to lift up the eyebrows to see the muscles. There are no lines visible where the paralysis is. Ito yung lines niya. There's no lines here. And when they try to move the eye, lumalabas, no? Lumalaki yung mata. And this one, just drooping of the eyelid. Okay? So these are the classic features of a patient with facial nerve paralysis. Now, these are medical emergencies. Okay, you see this, consult kagad yan, pasyente. Now, extracranial complications, you have your labyrinthitis, as I mentioned. It's a direct, again, invasion of the canal of the labyrinth. So the symptom there is vertigo, dizziness. It's a rotating feeling of a patient, umiikot. Okay? Plus sensory neural hearing loss. Now, a subperiosteal abscess, ito yung lumabas na sa ear canal. A Bezold's is an abscess here at the inferior, the tip of your mastoid. Okay, that's where your Bezold's abscess is. That's also extracranial. No? So these are extracranial, labyrinthitis, subperiosteal abscess. Now, intracranial complications, you have your Meningitis, okay, the symptoms is, again, these are through vascular channels, fever, neck stiffness, altered sensorium. This is a medical emergency. A brain abscess is also a medical emergency. Ayan. Temporal lobe abscess, sometimes a cerebellar abscess. Okay. So, as I said, no, try to memorize this photo. Picture it. Nandiyan dyan na lahat. Ayan yung cerebellar abscess nyo. Okay? And you have your lateral or sigmoid sinus thrombosis, septic venous thrombosis, spiking fever, papillodema, and otitic hydrocephalus is the last one, is raised intracranial pressure without abscess, headache, blurred vision, vomiting. Okay, red flags requiring urgent referrals, severe headaches, altered consciousness, okay, tulog-tulog, especially in children, vomiting, okay, signs of nuchal rigidity in children, meningitis, facial paralysis, vertigo. These are red flags. No, you see this in patients with a chronically discharging ear, immediate referral. Okay, immediate yan. Okay, in summary, acute otitis media is common and usually resolves with proper management. Um, Chronic otitis media, especially with cholesteatoma, is dangerous. Complications of cholesteatoma, no, any of the 8 intra and extracranial complications may be life-threatening, because even if you just have a mastoiditis, it doesn't mean if it has gone through the mastoid, if you wait a little longer, it can go into other areas of and possibly cause other complications. So you see one complication, consider it life-threatening, manage it right away. Early diagnosis, no, I just mentioned, and referral can save lives, no, as well as hearing. Okay? So that's a review table for between acute otitis media and chronic otitis media. And that's another review table for extracranial and intracranial complications plus their key features, okay, which you have to know. You know all of these key features, then you can refer the patient right away. So, ano rin yan? Yan din ang clue nyo. Facial asymmetry, chronic ear discharge. Anong complication? Facial nerve palsy. Neck stiffness with chronically ear discharge. Anong possible impression nyo? Meningitis. Post-auricular swelling with chronically ear discharge, sometimes acute otitis media in children, you have mastoiditis. Okay? Focal neurologic signs, consider brain abscess. Dizziness, consider labyrinthitis. So this is what I want to portray in this review table. Okay, OSCE clinical pearls. Always inspect the posterior auricular area in children or in adults with chronically ear discharge. An ear which chronically discharges. Ask the duration of the discharge. Check facial nerve function. Marunong ba kayong gumawa nito? Hopefully, marunong kayo. Document hearing loss. Pagawa kayo ng hearing test. Clinical pearls. Painless discharge is chronic. Foul smelling. Talagang ang smell ng chronically ear discharge, charging ear with cholesteatoma is like, ano man, imbornal. We call it imbornal. No? Yung sidewalk, yung mga lumang mga ano dyan, amoy. No? It's really foul smelling. Uh, I hope you do get to smell one, so because it just sticks to your brain what it smells like. And when you smell it again, you know, oops, this is with cholesteatoma. And finally, headache with otitis media requires an immediate referral. Kami na ang bahala sa imaging of the brain. Questions? While acute otitis media is common, and ano ba to? And often self-limiting chronic otitis media is a silent but dangerous disease. Its complications extend beyond the ear to the brain, to the face, and even life-threatening. And is even life-threatening. Early recognition and timely referral remain the clinician's most powerful tools. I think that's my last slide. Any questions? Questions? Reactions? Wala ako nakikita reaction Walang clap-clap. Hello? Nandiyan dyan pa ba kayo?
Yes po, Doc.
Ikaw na lang yata nandiyan dyan eh. Okay, now we will proceed with the next lecture. Okay, so we will not meet anymore this afternoon. Okay, but we will proceed with the next lecture. Arjun, nandiyan ka?